And first, let me argue that this is not a widely spread opinion. The reason why I think this is not a widely spread opinion is because the way that it's because you could just remove the narrative, right? And some mathematical educators do this, and it can be very difficult to understand what's going on when they do this. I think a classic example is a topology class. So in topology, you learn that a topological space consists of a set along with a set of subsets of that set. So the question is, what does it mean? For something to be deep. Now, I've arrived at an opinion of this because this was a phrase that always kind of confused me a lot. I heard a lot of mathematicians talk about how this was deep and that wasn't deep, etc. And I always kind of thought that what they meant was this is significant or this is profound or this is like interesting or cool, like this is really cool or something. And I never knew really what they were getting at, but I would respond with, do you believe that that's not true? I mean, even of mathematical concepts, do you believe that there are infinitely many deep mathematical concepts, or do you think that that's finite? I think it's reasonable that my definition seems a little flat, right? It's kind of like, oh, well, I think that my deep thing is way deeper than just anything that satisfies the implied definition of what we have here. I think that's reasonable, but this at least puts something um, on the table. And also, I'm going to transition now. I'm going to transition into my next point because one thing that I want to say, okay, there's a clever way that I could tie this all together if I can get my brain to function, right? And that is where I want to put, like, find your true musical self with the application of writing music, right? So here it's influence yours. Nobody does exist in a vacuum, and no idea does come from a vacuum. And the more that you engage with it authentically, the more that you can bring an aspect of personality to it, right? And that's really helpful. It's helpful in mathematics as well. When people are discussing ideas, you can bring your personality to it. It's you got reasons why these schools of thought have developed, and there are relationships between them as well. And you do get complex, unexpected phenomena emerging. I mean, people have drawn some of these links, right? Like these do exist. You might think that they're bad, or you might think that they're uninteresting, but some of them do exist. And I think it's not crazy to view these schools of music as following from foundations. Now, there, it doesn't have to be the deepest link possible. It's just what is stated inside this one language infers something on the other, and maybe it's not complete or something. But I would think that that's something, right? Anyway, that's like a famously controversial topic. So, okay, let me finish my responses and then we can talk. So, music outside of creativity and exploration. So yeah, I was quite snobby towards people who are not treating music like some self-actualization, exploration, like, you know, ingenuitive thing. I thought about this, and I think all I can reasonably do is refrain from commenting, right? To me, music is such a big part of my self-actualization, and I would not have had that self-actualization if I wasn't approaching music with such a focus to creativity and ingenuity and self-exploration, exploration of music and things like that. Okay, were there
The
questions
AI
in the
doesn't appear
chat
in the
that
chat.
weren't
No, I think most of that was
AI? Oh,
talking to
did
the
the AI
bots.
one's not come into that?
I'll communicate one of the haiku, which was Basho's journey ends. Illness takes him from this world. Haiku live on still, which I think captures another major motivation for doing creative and original work, right? It's a kind of suppressed play at immortality quite often.
Yeah, I think you can go too far with that as well, though. Do you know that a lot of the conservatorium, like the classical music schools, that's so much of that is preservation. So you learn to play the piece the way that Beethoven would have played it, right? And the idea is that you lose marks if you kind of put your own personality into it. And the people that do best in those courses are those that that reproduce what Beethoven did as well as possible. And I don't know, maybe that's veering into this second thing, like music outside of creativity slash exploration, where I don't really feel fit to comment. I personally just, I can't see why somebody would want to pour those kinds of hours into music and then reproduce as accurately as possible something that already existed. People obviously do that and find meaning in it and value in it, and governments fund it as well. So it must be important for some reason.
I really should have one of the bots like be the mean bot who is like pointing out the weak spot in your whole worldview, and then you fall to pieces live.
You know, I would happily do that for you. You don't need to build it.
Yeah, somehow it would feel cruel coming from a human, but if it's a bot, it's like the voice of the universe. Just
Oh, it's
I
kind of
don't know.
cute.
It's like
I think it depends on how accurate it is. If he's really nailing your insecurities,
yeah,
it'll come.
yeah.
It'll come.